did Paul deny the deity of Christ? Now think about this. He wrote 13 books out of the 27 books in the New Testament. Check this out. Out of those 13 books, not one time did he mention the virgin birth. Not once. Not one time. He's attributed to be the author of the earliest Christian writings. Maybe First Corinthians, Galatians, Thessalonians. They were the earliest books written, put in the Bible, in Christianity. Paul was there. The Synoptic Gospels, who they have no idea who the authors are, were put in much later. Maybe way later, when the Roman Catholics created the book. But I want to read a little bit to you and talk to you about this whole issue. The letters are the earliest sources. It says here, I'm reading about it in a dictionary. Most scholars agree Paul's letters, Galatians 1 and 2, Thessalonians, possibly 1 Corinthians, are the earliest Christian writings, probably written 20 to 25 years after Jesus' death. Decades before the four Gospels were written. A lot of people don't know that. It was way later. Paul and the birth of Jesus. Listen to this. Paul and the birth of Jesus. You are correct that Paul never mentions, a virgin birth anywhere in his 13 letters. He talks about Jesus' humanity, his Davidic lineage in Romans 1:3, his death and resurrection, and his role as the Messiah, but never about Mary conceiving him miraculously. That was brought together by the Catholics. They were monkeying with all of this. The lineage and the Jeconiah curse. Now we got a big problem. Real big problem. Jeremiah 22:30 says that Jeconiah is childless in terms of ruling descendants. Jeconiah's children were not kings. God cut them off. Now, the problem with that is no one from his line will sit on David's throne. Okay? If the Messiah had to be from the legal descendant of David, through Joseph, the curse could be a problem. Paul emphasized Jesus was born of a woman, Galatians C4:4, but never clarified a virgin birth. Now, you could argue from silence, but 13 books, all of these tremendous amount of the New Testament, and he never mentions it. But since Paul alludes to the idea Jesus was born by a man, it puts Jesus under that curse of Jeconiah. You have to go all the way to the book of Matthew, which may be decades, maybe a lot older than that, truth be known, where you'll see Matthew saying Jesus was born from the lineage of Jeconiah, which was cursed and couldn't be the Davidic line. This gets really messy. Without a virgin birth, Jesus would have had a biological father, traditionally Joseph. So he would inherit the Davidic lineage through Joseph, which would intersect with the Jeconiah line, which was cursed. The whole thing turns into a big jam up. That would create a theological problem. How could he bypass the curse if descent was through Joseph? So the idea, the way they tried to fix this, was to say Jesus was born from a virgin and bypassed it all. Well, Paul never mentioned it. Now, I'm telling you, you could try to say, well, there's an argument here from silence that he did believe in the virgin birth. But I would stand to tell you that in the massive amount of writings and going into all of this great detail that Paul did, he would have certainly mentioned if Jesus was born from Mary a virgin. I mean, he ain't going to let that slip. He forgot about it. Now remember, he didn't write just a little bit. He wrote, half the New Testament? About half? All of it. And the earliest writer, he never mentions it. Something is wrong, The implications of this, because Paul is silent on the virgin birth, it seems to focus on Jesus as fully human. Born under the law, from the line of David, legally or otherwise, with Jeconiah. The Jeconiah curse, without needing a miraculous conception to bypass that Jeconiah curse. You got the problem, see? Which suggests the early Christian message did not require a birth from a virgin. The concept may have emerged later, appearing in Matthew and Luke decades after Paul. If we go look at when they think those four Gospels were written, it might shock you. It might have been way more. It might have been several hundred years later, 200 years later. I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. Wouldn't be hard to find out. If I had the ability to make this machine work right, we'd see. Let's see if I can do it. When was the book of Matthew and the four Gospels written? What time? Around 100. Some say 80, 90, 100. There's right here, one person says 70. So you got 50, 60, 70, maybe 30 years later. It's not as big a deal as I thought. But anyhow, there's really something not right The Apostle Paul basically created Christianity with 13 books. And it's interesting that he never calls Jesus God. He never says Jesus was born from a virgin. He never goes that far. He talks about the law and the substitutionary atonement offering. But anyhow, maybe Paul didn't believe Jesus was really born of a virgin, since he didn't mention it.